Hello and welcome back to Across the Vortex of Media. Today I'm back on camera because this is a very quick video to be made, and that is about the future of Doctor Who. That's right, we're back again. And it's official, folks. Doctor Who is over. Today, on June 10th, 2026, the news has come out that the Christmas special 2026 will no longer be being made. Russell T Davies made a post on Instagram, and the BBC made an official announcement. Let's jump into the vortex and take a look at everything.
Into the vortex.
As I have mentioned numerous times on this channel, in October 2025 it was announced that Doctor Who would have a Christmas special in 2026. For months now, fans have been speculating, wondering who would be the Doctor. Would it be Billy Piper? Would David Tennant be back? We've been wondering all this and thinking eventually we would get answers. But today, Russell T Davies made a statement on Instagram, and I'm going to read that statement to you in full. And so, goodbye from me to Doctor Who, but hello to a big new future for the show. As the BBC announced it's putting the show out to tender, as a result, there won't be a Christmas special. We only cooked that up to guarantee a future when no one knew what would happen. And so now we do know. There's no need for it. You'll have to wait a bit longer for new Doctor Who, but you'll be waiting for more Doctor Who than a one-off. So it's worth it. For the record, there was no script, I never wrote it, and no actor was ever approached about playing the next Doctor. You may disagree, fine. Sit in that chair and wait to be proved right. You'll be waiting a long time. Now, I'm as excited as anyone to see what comes next. Will they keep the theme tune? Will they lose the blue box? Will they bring back the Draven? It's all up for grabs, which is so Doctor Who. Exciting and unpredictable and new. Here comes the future. Vorp, vorp. That was Russell T Davies' official post on Instagram announcing his exit from the show. And I hate this announcement. Not because I'm sad to see Russell T Davies leave this time. To be honest, I don't think his most recent work in Doctor Who has been up to par with his original run on the show. But I'm annoyed because he's come in with this attitude of, ha ha ha, you thought we were going to do a Christmas special because we announced it? We just said that. And it's almost like he makes the fans feel like idiots, which I don't like that aspect. And also to blatantly lie about doing a Christmas special, it feels a bit dodgy. Like, I don't know, there's something weird about that where like, and the claim that he never wrote anything, yet we've had people mention about seeing scripts. We had Russell T Davies tease words that were in the script in a Doctor Who magazine a few months ago. It's weird. It's a very weird situation, you know. Now, BBC also announced online that... So I'm going to read what BBC said, okay? As part of securing the next phase of the show for future generations, and in line with the BBC's charter and agreement requirements, the BBC will put Doctor Who out to competitive tender this year. Doctor Who remains an important part of the BBC, and this tender underpins the BBC's continued commitment to Doctor Who, ensuring that audiences will enjoy the show for years to come. So essentially, Russell T Davies did mention that in his post, that the BBC have decided to put the show out to tender. What that means is, it's not an official cancellation, not just yet. They are essentially looking for a company to produce it. They're putting it out and people can bid to produce the show. But that's no guarantee that that will happen. This could just be a soft cancellation, essentially, because you have no guarantee that anyone will be interested in doing it, especially after recent years. There's always a lot of rumours that nobody wants to touch Doctor Who. Like, whenever Stephen Moffat was leaving, there was rumours that nobody really wanted to touch it, and that's why we got Chris Chibnall as showrunner. And even when Chibnall was leaving, there was rumours again that there was no one who wanted to touch it, but Russell T Davies came in with the David Tennant, Catherine Tate pitch, and BBC agreed to that. So, is it a bit of a tainted chalice? Does no one really want to touch it? Can you get an actor on board? Because after what's happened in recent years, you know, you had Jodie Whittaker regenerated into David Tennant, which felt like a bit of a nostalgia grab, and I was fine with it. I was fine with that one. Then you had Ncuti Gatwa, who I wasn't a big fan of his portrayal of the Doctor, and he was the Doctor in waiting longer than he was the actual Doctor, which is always weird to me. And then you have the very last scene of the most recent episode of the Reality War being Ncuti Gatwa regenerating into Billy Piper. Will they address that in the future? If someone comes in and continues this show, will they address this? I genuinely don't think they will. I would write it off. Yeah, and the BBC also say, after careful consideration, the BBC, Russell T Davies, and Bad Wolf have collectively decided not to go ahead with the previously announced Doctor Who Christmas special. Which essentially that is different from what Russell T Davies is saying. The BBC are putting it as though it was going to happen, but then they've rethought about it, and they've decided not to. Russell T Davies is saying it as though no, it was never going to happen. It was just a lie. I think it was. I think it was going to happen at one point, and then the BBC have essentially said to Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf, no. I think they've been fired from it, and I think the BBC have just pulled the rug out from under them. They also say the decision was not taken lightly, and we know it will be disappointing for fans. That's up for debate. I think some people will be disappointed that we're not getting Doctor Who for the foreseeable. We may never get Doctor Who the TV show again. Personally, I think the Christmas special would have been a mess regardless. I have a whole video of my predictions, and one of those predictions is that it would have been a mess. The BBC also say, but in order to set the show up for future series, it was decided that rather than bridge the gap with a one-off special, we are choosing to push forward to invest in the long-term future of the show, which ensures that the TARDIS lands once more. It does so in all its glory. So essentially, what the BBC are saying there is they're almost acknowledging how much of a mess the past few years have been since the Disney deal and stuff like that. And it does sound like they're kind of saying, listen, we want to be able to do a clean slate. We want to be able to start from scratch. We don't want any of that baggage. Let's start from scratch. It sounds like that. I think that is a good approach for them to take. You don't want to be bogged down and, bi-generations and Billy Piper coming back and gods and stuff like that. You just don't need that. It's too messy at this point. There's too much going on. Details of the tender will be announced in due course, they also say, which is bog standard stuff. They also say the BBC retains all IP in Doctor Who. BBC Studios will continue to lead the global distribution of Doctor Who, as well as licensing consumer products, digital and immersive experience on behalf of the BBC. And the previously announced new Doctor Who animated series for CBeebies, the sort of baby/toddler channel for in the UK, is currently in production, so that's still coming. We're gonna see everyone who talks about Doctor Who online having to watch a CBeebies show. Will I watch it? I might check it out, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, so essentially that's it. They've announced that the show is not coming back anytime soon. I think the earliest they could possibly bring it back would be 2028, and that's wishful thinking. I think in reality we're looking at more 2029 to 2030. I think overall that's good. I think it's time for the show to just rest for a bit. Just don't rush into anything. Bring new blood in. One of my first videos on this channel was talking about the future of Doctor Who, and I really talked about how they need to have new creative blood. Don't rely on people who were fans of the classic era. Bring new people in. People who have something new to say, who understand the character, but have something new to say with the character. I do actually plan on... I have a series planned for this channel where I want to talk about how I would do Doctor Who, in one series at a time, so sort of what it would be, how the stories would be structured, what sort of character the Doctor would be, and the overall sort of arc, stuff like that. Which will be coming. I'm hoping to have the first one of those out next week or so. But yeah, so right now Doctor Who is done. Will it come back? Possibly. But for now, I think we are in the Wilderness Years Volume 2. And yeah, I think it's very disrespectful for Russell T Davies to come out and treat it like, oh, love, you believed the Christmas special was coming? What fools. That was never going to happen. That was just made to generate content. I mean, he has generated a lot of content of the past few years. Has it been good content? No. There are moments in the Disney era of Doctor Who that I do enjoy, but I think it has just been an utter shambles overall. And I'll be glad to see the back of it. I hope they just never acknowledge it. I think compared to sort of the classic show when it came to an end with the Seventh Doctor played by Sylvester McCoy and Ace walking off into the woods. That's why it was called the Wilderness Years, because they were walking off into the wilderness. But you can believe with that ending that they do continue going on adventures, and that the story continued even after viewers stopped seeing it on screen. But with this one, it's such a weird ending. You have the Doctor just suddenly regenerate, and Billy Piper's face shows up. And so that's the ending. That's the ending Doctor Who fans are left with for now. Maybe if I were them, I would go back and I would actually just edit that and change it and just fade to black. I think that is the only option you would have for there. That way, the Doctor can be anyone. You know, you can make it so that if you re-edit it, you're really driving that message home that the Doctor can be anyone. The Doctor could be you, could be me, could be anyone in the whole wide world. But yeah, so that is all the news today of Doctor Who. I don't feel particularly sad that it won't be continuing for now. I'm annoyed about the way it's been done. Like, they announced the Christmas special in October 2025. That was, how many months ago was that? That was 7 months ago now, I believe. 6 or 7 months. Like, that's a long time to know that you weren't going to do it. Which is why I think they were going to do it, and then the BBC decided, nah, we don't want any more to do with this era. So it is in a bit of a mess right now. I'm glad Russell T Davies won't be continuing as showrunner. Get some new blood in. Let's see what happens. You know, even if the next person isn't as good, if it's someone new, at least they've tried it. At least they're not falling back on nostalgia and begging the past. So yeah, that's really all I have to say on this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check out all my other Doctor Who stuff. I've done a lot of videos talking about the future of Doctor Who and sort of is it cancelled, stuff like that. As I mentioned earlier, I do plan on doing a series pitching what I think they should do with the show, if/when it comes back. And yeah, I do lots of other things. I have a series called The Brilliance Of, where I look at just some of my favourite pieces of media. I've got one on Shrinking, one on Gavin and Stacey, stuff like that. And yeah, I do various reviews. I have a review on Tiptoe, which is doing relatively well for a small channel at the moment. So yeah, just be sure to check out that other content if you enjoyed this video. And if you have stayed to the end, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about all these Doctor Who developments. Like, have you enjoyed the Disney era? Are you glad to see the back of it? What do you think about the whole there was never going to be a Christmas special? The lie. Imagine that, going out on a lie. Oh, and also, I did notice when the BBC announced it, there was no praise for what Russell T Davies has done. There was no praise for that partnership, which is quite telling in itself, I think. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I've been Nathaniel, and I'll see you in the Vortex. Bye bye.